Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our time together and to our Flourish Your Beauty show, to our Flourish Your Beauty life. I'm so excited to share time and space with you to be here. And I have something really beautiful for you planned today, because my intention is always to take you into the higher spaces when we enter this time space here together, because I know so many times, in life you have your own things going on, you have your own distractions, and there's so much that takes us out of this space of divinity. And so that's why today I want to take you on a journey into divinity, into remembering your own divinity through my story. And so this is going to be story time today. And then on Thursday, be sure to come back, because that's when we're going to do a powerful meditation activation together. And what I want to share with you before we enter the space here into remembering your divinity is that after this beautiful weekend, and especially Saturday, of your sacred space, of us women coming together in person and connecting so beautifully on such a deep level, I know that this is really where it's at. We are shifting now into a time and space where we're moving out of the disconnect, where we're moving out of the point of singularity, where everybody thinks they need to have it figured out by themselves, and we're moving into a space of circle of women coming together. And it is just the most beautiful space for me to hold, for me to be part of, for all of us to connect in and share together, because what I know is that you are all such powerful women. And so for me, it's such a deep honor to be in these sacred spaces together with you. And so tomorrow will be the online part of your sacred space, which will be 2.5 hours of us on a Zoom call together. And what I have planned for you is truly amazing, because if you are the type of woman who wants to expand her field, who wants to have more awareness, who wants to have deeper connection from within to without, and be much more in a space of always knowing, of always sensing, of feeling, of being in tune with the natural cycles, the natural ways of being, and within our own sacred geometry that is connected to the sacred geometry of everything in existence, then this is going to be the class for you, because it is going to ground you into such a beautiful space and expand you into spaces that you may have never entered before. And so during those 2.5 hours, we're going to do a powerful shamanic journey, and I'm also going to show you some spatial awareness exercises and so much more. And if you're not able to come on live, that's fine too, because there is going to be a page with the replay and other teachings that I want to bring in there for you too, that you'll always have available. And this starts the initiation of 12 months of different activations that are powerful ways of being here, of more awareness, of more aliveness, and being more in our own space of divinity and bringing us all into a sacred space. And so every month you can expect a masterclass, and I also plan on doing an in-person event. Sometimes it might have to be moved a little bit based on my travels and life and things that come up, but this is my intention, and it is all based in the teachings within my beautiful Beauty Flourishing Collective, my membership for women. And for anyone who is in my membership, it's free. And then for anyone, if you're not in my membership, it's $147 that you can also choose to take any class individually if you like. And so it's completely up to you. But what I know for sure, like I said, for me, I want to continue to grow and build the spaces for all of us here as women. And that's why I am doing this with intention, to be able to actually interact, to where it's not just existing in the space, but where we can come together as community, because that's when it's the most powerful. And then we can take it into the spaces and have all of the resources available to us anytime to remember to access. And so that is my intention of what we're doing together. So to go ahead and set the space, we're going to go ahead and still light our candle, even though today it's not a meditation. So if you have a candle handy, then go ahead and light your candle. And then allow that transference of energy that you have just activated to complete in the match, as it also completes in the fire. allowing that life force to complete its cycle. And withholding your candle for a moment, honoring that life force, that life energy, that activation through the fire, through our connection to the higher realms, the higher energies, higher frequencies. And tuning in for a moment, finding your moment now of stillness, of shifting from what came before to the present moment. And no matter what comes after, there's always only the present. And so it's your gift to yourself for taking this moment out for you here now. Okay, and then you can bring your candle down, set it off to the side if you like. And so many times I get asked, how did this all start for you? Where did it all begin? Where did your journey start? And for me, it took me a moment when that question was asked for the first time to think back to where was that moment. But yet, at the same time, that moment had always been in existence for me. And of course, when I really look at it, it goes way beyond this moment in this lifetime. But this is where we're starting today. Because I trust and know that all of us have an origin story when we are asked this question and when we ask ourselves this question and we're looking at that bigger perspective of like, where has there been a moment, where has there been something that brought me to that point of remembering that I am divinity. And so for me, this moment was when I was about 2 years old. And I remember walking down the sidewalk in Germany, right close to where we were living, where I was growing up. And it was a beautiful summer day. I imagine it was probably a Sunday because my aunt and my mom were both holding my hand. So here I was a little one. And I remember my mom on one side with her hand and my aunt on the other side. I remembered that beautiful connection, that love that was flowing from my mom and from my aunt as I was holding onto their hands, as they were holding my hands. And it was this beautiful love that can only be shared between women, where it was my mom's love to me and it was my aunt's love to me. And both were just pure and unconditional. And it felt so whole and so holy. And then I remember looking up as this little one, figuring out my place in the world and looking up at the sky. And again, it was a summer day. It was beautiful. It was warm. And I looked up at the sun in that moment, in that clear sky. And I just remember the beauty of it. And I remember that energy of that warmth and the energy of the light that came toward me. And I remember just this beautiful space of feeling connected, of feeling the connection to everything. It was as if the sun, which of course only is here as a reflection of something much greater and much higher, was initiating and bringing in that remembrance for me in that moment of saying, wow, this is something much larger than this, and you belong in this much larger space, and remember this. And again, this is now coming from me, as a grown-up. And so as a child, it was much more innocent. It was much more simple. It was just simply that pure essence of connection, of remembering that unity, of remembering the oneness, remembering the love. And again, this was the love here in the physical, through my two beautiful women who held the space with me. And at the same time, also, it was this much higher love that came from a much higher frequency, a much higher point through the energy of the sun as it was pouring into me. And it was a moment that I never really had forgotten, but yet at the same time, until years and years later, when the times came for me of opening my channel again and remembering where I knew that this was always there. It was always with me. And so I know that many of us, until we ask or until we're questioned about it, we have these moments, and sometimes they just lay dormant. And again, in that space, just this unconditional love in all ways here in this realm, and then also from this much higher space of divinity, of knowing that it is all one, that it is all connected. There is no separation. There's not we here and this there. It is all just us experiencing ourselves. It is divinity experiencing itself through us, and we are all part of it, and we're all deeply connected to it. And that part, that deep gratitude that I felt in that moment, that so much stronger came on later, because then I had the understanding of it. Because at that point, it was more just remember this always, remember that this is the true essence. It has always, through any time that I've experienced in life, has always brought me back to that. And whenever there were dark moments, whenever there were times where I was questioning or I wasn't sure, these were always the moments that I could tap right back into and say, I remember there's something much higher here that I can access, that I can tune into, that is me. And at the same time also that is here to support me, to be there for me, with me all the time. There's never a moment where I or this doesn't exist together at the same time. And this is the same for all of us, where you and me and all of us always exist in these realms of divinity, even when sometimes we're getting caught up in life and we tend to forget in moments, and we tend to shrink ourselves down, back to the amnesia and forgetting our divinity. And yet it is always present. It's just a simple shift from here to there, to saying, okay, just ground yourself back in, be present, be here. And this is always the space that you can come back to and remember for yourself. And since then, throughout my whole life, because I am a channel, I have had endless and many, many experiences, some even more significant if I have to kind of put any kind of references on it, but yet at the same time, not as significant at the same time as well. So it's all just relative on different ways of coming in, different experiences, and different knowing that there is something so much higher that is always connected to us, and that we are so much higher than what we give ourselves credit for in this journey, through space, through time, in the soul experience that we're living here. And for me, that search had always been there. There's never been a moment for me where I wasn't looking, I wasn't searching, I wasn't seeing the remembrance of what I knew, even though at that time society wasn't really bringing anything in awareness yet at that time, and it was framed differently. And for me, one of the first things back then was by Raymond Moody in the 80s, when his Life After Life books came out. There was an inkling of, oh, okay, this gets a little bit closer to the truth. And then when I moved here to the States, then there were the Journey of Life books. And then eventually I became a hypnotherapist in Life Between Lives, hypnotherapy, of being able to facilitate this. And it brought so many openings and so many revelations. And what I feel like is so important to share in order for me to stay in my own integrity within all of this is that what I knew and what I know as the deep truth is that there is still so much more beyond this, because we are here in a construct, and then the whole life between lives and everything and the soul journey is still another construct, but it is still all within layers. And there's still more outside of these layers. And that is what I'm reaching. That is what I'm connecting with. And this is what I connected with back then as well. And I feel like it's so important to open that space for that, just to give that clear understanding of us not getting caught in these cycles, and for us to really broaden our horizon in a much larger capacity, because this is when we're tapping into the true source of everything. Just remember that you are divinity embodied here always, that there's never, ever a separation. And we're just all doing our best here to pretend that there is, but it's really not. And so with this, I invite you to come back Thursday, where we're going to do the activation and the meditation. So I wish you an amazing, beautiful day, and remember your divinity.